I'm Jens Vogt. I'm partner at Heidrick and Struggles, and I'm responsible for our business unit Heidrick Consulting in the DACH region. Today I've got the great privilege to speak to Oliver Bruns, CEO of NEVEON, one of the global providers for innovative and sustainable foam solutions based and headquartered in Vienna. Oliver, when you started in your new role as the CEO of NEVEON, you had one of the rare opportunities in the lifetime of a CEO to really shape and design an organization in all its facets. Can you please tell us about NEVEON and the founding impulse of NEVEON at that time?
When I started in summer last year, we had the starting point of having multiple different portfolio companies belonging to the Greiner AG corporate environment. And all these companies had one common thing in mind, and that was foam. We started with an empty piece of paper and started to think about organization structures and product portfolio and locations, name, place of headquarters, and obviously values and corporate culture. And we really started to create NEVEON from scratch.
Because of the distinct structure and the many legacy companies to be integrated, it has always been very clear to you that this type of new organization, one NEVEON, brings unique challenges, especially in the area of shaping a joint, healthy, high-performance culture. Can you please describe this part of your leadership role in a bit more detail?
Our corporate culture is going to be our differentiator, our USP, right? So we really thought about, where can we differentiate and how can we differentiate? And our corporate culture is the number one aspect on how we believe we can be successful on a long-term sustainable basis. We created a corporate culture and identified that was new to everyone, right? I think that was an important part during the integration process. We didn't have a leading entity or a leading company with a distinguished culture. We established something which was completely new, including the culture.
Most business leaders nowadays recognize that culture is crucial to really get results and to enhance business performance. And I know that you strongly believe the same, but could you explain us exactly why?
Well, it has a direct impact. I mean, the overall culture is something that, makes us feel good, everyone, right? I mean, everyone likes to come to work and it's an environment that, most people appreciate. But also it has a direct P&L and a balance sheet impact, and there's a direct correlation towards it. Well, let's just assume just an everyday example, right? Someone who works in an office environment comes to work. Now, if the person sits on a piece of chair, looks out of the window the entire day, or is passionately working towards creating something and improving the processes and improving the business, the cost to the company is the same, but the outcome is very, very different, right? And in the end, with the corporate culture, our partners, suppliers, company, our customers, they all experience, well, there is a sparkle in the eye. There is something special about our organization. And that really makes the impact. And that impacts every single KPI you see on the P&L and balance sheet.
We have just published a very exciting study based on interviews with 500 CEOs worldwide around the question, what impact does corporate culture have on the economic or even financial performance of an organization? And I would like to know how you would answer the question yourself.
Basically, the corporate culture is the main engine of everything we do, right? It puts everyone together and leads us in the same direction. And you can come and look at it from all kinds of different aspects. The way, we approach innovation, the way we optimize our processes, the way we treat our customers, the way we interact and partner up with our suppliers. All of that has a huge impact on the KPIs, and it's driven by our culture, right? Some people say it's difficult to grab what it really is, but they feel that we are passionate about it. Sometimes it's being described as you have the sparkle in the eye, right? There's something unique, very passionate about, and that's a great feedback.
In the context of corporate culture, we describe the shadow of leadership phenomenon. The higher in hierarchy, the more the leaders are in the limelight, and the longer the shadow they cast. Could you describe how the NEVEON management team meets this challenge?
Well, I think, first of all, if you really perceive corporate culture as an important part of everyday life and as an important differentiator in the marketplace, it has to be on the agenda of the top management meeting. And that's what we do. We talk about it. We talk about it the same way as we talk about the monthly results, as we talk about safety, as the same way as we talk about payback periods for investments, right? It's an integral part of running the company.
An important success factor of culture shaping or culture development also is the personal behavior of the senior leaders. What is it that you specifically do in your daily management routine to foster the One NEVEON culture?
I think the number one and probably most visible impact that I hopefully demonstrate is that I try to be more in the here and now, living up into the moment of every discussion, of everything that I'm doing. I'm really trying to switch off any kind of multitasking. Not just doing it, but also not thinking about it. Really trying to focus on the specific situation, on the moment. For me, that allows me to be much deeper into the conversation, much more focused on the task on hand, and it helps me to calm down, right?
In our experience, culture development always requires a certain organizational penetration. In other words, a critical mass of employees who are involved in the process or at least are reached by it. How do you ensure this on your cultural journey?
Well, currently, and actually as we speak, right, they're running, there are a couple of workshops that are being conducted. And during the next 3-4 weeks, I believe we have about 120, 130 leaders across the global organization that runs with different workshops. And we try to help them, with certain methodologies and the same language. And, we teach them a couple of tools and help them to reflect. So that's one. At the same time, we have in the organization, we have cultural champions. They discuss and meet up in groups and discuss about, so where are we? Are we on the right track? What needs to be done? Where do we have certain parts of the organization that needs more support or more guidance? Also, luckily, besides having all of your support, we are also helping with your help and training our own facilitators, right? Because we really want to have a situation where it's our culture.
If you summarize your One NEVEON culture development process so far, to what extent has it already clearly contributed to achieving your set goals?
Luckily, we're currently in situations where our financial performance is demonstrating quite positively. I mean, we are growing, we are increasing our financial profitability. So usually when you look from a pure business KPI standpoint of view, almost all KPIs, tend towards being quite positive. And when someone is asking me, so what's the reason why you are so successful in such a rather short period of time, then the culture is the number one aspect. Because in the end, right, within nine months, you don't change radically your portfolio of products, or you don't have a completely different setup. But the way that we work, with partners, that we work with each other, that has changed. And that has a tremendous impact on speed, on cost structures, on, again, the way we are perceived by external partners. So yes, it has a direct impact. So while most people say that culture has a long-term impact, right, I fully agree. But actually it has a pretty short-term return on investment as well. And just as a business leader as well, right? I mean, it's not just someone who I would recommend someone, well, do this and you get the return after 10 years. Now, actually, you get the return after a very short period of time already. And this is what we are seeing currently.
What one thing would you tell other leaders about shaping a healthy, high-performance culture?
My recommendation would be to start thinking about really from a more fundamental point of view. What's the role of the top management, for example, right? Is the top management serving the team, the workforce, or is it the other way around, right? From our perspective, we always think about what can we do in order to serve our teams. It's a totally different way of looking at it. It's a basic fundamental question, but it means a lot. Second point is treat the cultural aspect in the discussion not as a project and not as a nice to have. It's a fundamental business block. And you should not hire a consultant and ask them, well, can you help us do 2 workshops and then we are done with culture for the year, right? I mean, that's not the way it works. It's a continuous effort of a continuous mindset and spending attention and paying attention towards this topic. That would be recommendation. The next point, obviously, Once you have your management behind and you're clear in your mind what you want to achieve, then get support, right? Because in the end, even if you are fully close and behind this topic, there's a lot of concepts out there, a lot of great people that can help you.
What would you say was the largest impact?
The moment when the team felt it themselves. Theoretical discussion is one thing, right? And I think most people already got the mind, okay, this is important, right? Because of all the pre-discussions and previous experience and so on. But once we really got onto the journey, that was the moment. And for us, that was the first, workshop we did with the senior management team, which I will never forget.
Looking back on your highly successful culture development process so far, what do you wish you knew back then that you know now?
Oh, quite a lot, right? Just giving you the example of the being here and now. That's just something that helped me being much calmer and much more focused in my life, not just in my career. Obviously, if I would have known that 20 years ago, well, it would have made my life a lot easier already quite some time ago. And I probably would have taken better decisions in my career at some point if I would have known what I know now.
Oliver, thank you so much for the great conversation, as always.
More than welcome.